And are you refreshed? Yes. Good. Now what?
"13 years ago, I was diagnosed with a chronic disease. And last year, my mom was diagnosed with the same thing. My question is, why do unexpected bad things happen when I didn't ask for it? 2 weeks I was sick, and then they diagnosed me, and my life changed ever since. My mom, a week into it, never had any symptoms or side effects, diagnosed with the same thing last Christmas. And her life is forever changed."
So your question is, we liked the way you worded it. Can you do it again?
Why do bad, unexpected things happen to people in general?
We like the way that you worded that because it is the unexpected word that is the key. When we talk about creation, deliberate creation, there is creation, deliberate creation, there's creation by default. And the majority of people, you're not alone in this, the majority of people are doing the majority of their creating by default. So we would like to put it into a different context. We would like to say, from a physical point of view, why would I offer vibrations that prevent me from experiencing the constant good, which is what I really seek? Or we would ask another question, how can I be more alert at earlier stages of resistance so that I can head it off when it's in an emotional state rather than waiting until it becomes a manifestational experience? Or is everything unwanted? Am I alerted to it in early stages? Or how can I be more sensitive to those early alerts? Or does it really matter where I'm at any point in time? Can I get from where I am to where I want to be at all times? In other words, you're getting because clearly there are two ways that we like you to look at it. Sometimes on your way to something that you really do want, you take a journey through something that you think you do not want. But we don't want to be heavy about that because in teaching deliberate creation, we really want you to understand that you really can live a joyful life all the time. You're not going to like hearing this either, but we wouldn't spend any time trying to figure out why it isn't different than it is. Instead, we would take the power of the experience and we would use the poignancy of it to help us to determine what we now want as a result of. Sometimes some of the most significant clarity comes from exposure to more contrast than you think you want. And it's only after the fact that you say, oh, that was way worth it. And then we want to say, we don't think long, hard exposure to contrast is way worth it, and we don't think it's necessary, but how are you going to know that unless you've had some experience of it? And so we just can't get around the fact that you are the creator of your own experience and that there are some things that you're creating without realizing that you're creating them, because after all, most people don't even recognize that they are vibrational beings and that they are attracting by virtue of their vibration. And what confuses more people about that than all of the other things put together is that they think that their words should mean more. And so people become accustomed to saying things that maybe that they're not feeling. It's like even a parent who is shouting at a child, "Don't you know I love you?" in that moment is not displaying any vibration that's anywhere in the vicinity of love. So a child could become very confused about what the word love means in relationship to this feeling that they're getting while that word's being offered. And there's just a whole lot of that goes on. And so that's why we say to you that the universe is always carving out a path of least resistance for you. And the better you get at being sensitive to that, then the better it goes. And we would be eternally, no matter how it looks, looking for the positive aspect of whatever it is that we are living. Because it is only in the acceptance that there is positive out of it that you're ever going to find any. Helpful?
Well, there's been a lot of positive that has come out from that. I don't think that I would have done some of the things in my life that I've done now, as far as like stepping out of my comfort zone and leaving home from Alabama and coming all the way out here, changing careers, doing things that are just completely 180. And it's made me, because you only have one life to live, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Nothing like something like that to get you focused. Esther always says she shines in a crisis, and we say the reason she shines in a crisis is because it causes her to focus. But you don't need the crises to focus.
There has been a lot of good that's come out of it.
Yeah.
There a lot more than I expected. Things that I've wanted, like physical things that are tangible, I can get. It's just the unexpected of why this happened. It's just something that, I don't know how to answer that. Why did it happen? Why did it happen to her too? And
well, it's easier to understand with someone who's been observing it with someone else, because it was more active in her vibration, more logically active in her vibration. But there are bigger questions that let's probe here just a little bit. So why would I say something that I ultimately don't mean in the heat of an argument? That's a valid question, and it's as pressing and pointed as the question that you just asked. Now, we know it feels like it's a far stretch, but stay with us just a little bit. Why would I say something that I really, if I stop to think about it, don't mean in the heat of an argument? Well, it's because there was a momentum going that influenced the outcome in the moment, and I was either not aware of the vibration that I was offering, or I was willing to go along with it. And so the answer to the broader question, why does anybody get anything that they don't want unexpectedly, it's because they're not aware that they're thinking about things that they don't want. But then the question often comes back, but Abraham, I swear, I was not thinking about this. I was not saying this is something that I want or this is something that I don't want. That particular topic was not active in my vibration at all. And we say, but we're talking about this vibrational language. We're talking about how do things translate into your experience? Well, they translate from vibrations that you're chronically offering. And so we've been saying for quite a while that there are two ways of knowing what you're offering vibrationally in any moment. One is by the way you feel when you're offering it, especially once you get the hang of this. And the other is by what manifests, because what you're offering and what flows into your experience always matches. There is never a vibrational variance between anything that anyone lives and what they're offering vibrationally, because the law of attraction just matches things up. So the disconnect has to come in, well, clearly I'm offering vibrations that I don't mean to be offering. And what could cause you to get better at offering vibrations in the way you mean to offer them than to realize that you've been offering vibrations in a way that you don't mean to? You see what we're getting at?
How do you get to your subconscious level to...
Well, that's an important conversation, and it's going to go different than you think it is, because these are not subconscious thoughts that we're talking about. Because if it's unconscious to you, then it's not a big enough player in your vibration to be part of your point of attraction. And if it's not unconscious, then there's an emotion that you're missing. In other words, if it's big enough that it manifested, it was big enough that you could feel it. And if it's big enough that you could feel it, then you can't call it subconscious or unconscious. So what that means is you had stuff going on that you were ignoring. And what it amounts to for most people is you're willing to be mad, and you're willing to be mad at people for a long time over stuff. And you're willing to feel guilt about things. You're willing to find a way of looking at something that is so contrary to the way the true energy is looking at it within you that you are introducing unnecessary resistance to your vibrational atmosphere. Are you getting this? Which comes back to what our friend was wanting to talk about earlier, and that is, aren't you glad you came? We are. We're glad you asked the question. Am I tolerating negative emotion under the guise of it's just the way life is, or it's just the way it has to be, or it's what was expected of me, or I didn't have a choice, or and so sometimes things happen and you say, oh boy, did that help me get my priorities straight, help me realize what is important and what is important. What would you now say is important? Yeah. What would you say is important?
What would I say?
Now.
What would I say is important now?
Now. Having lived what you lived, living what you're living, what has come to the forefront that you would say is important?
Well, important for me now at this time, because it's probably going to be something else down the road, but getting settled again in life, finding someone.
But even deeper than that, even bigger than that, even more basic than that.
What is
I just want to be happy. I just want to feel good. Happiness matters way more to me now. Life and feeling good in life matters way more to me now than it did before, which means this experience helped you to remember something that you'd forgotten, which makes the point our friend was making, not the point that we were making. Oh, so bad things have to happen to us to wake us up, to make us remember things that you could have been helping us remember all along, Abraham. We should have just been born remembering it. And we say, you were born remembering it. It's just taking you a while to remember how important it is.
That's true.
That's really the answer.
One last thing.
Yeah.
So consciousness, the thoughts that you think there, are they at a lower vibration, therefore they're not as effective as when you're conscious?
Not necessarily lower vibration, but slower in the sense of momentum.
Okay.
In other words, think about a thought that you think about, and the more you think about it, the more active it becomes. Mm-hmm. So there's more momentum. And so if you're not feeling emotion about it, then we would say you could call it unconscious or subconscious, and we would also say it's not a big player in your vibration. Don't need to worry about it. If you're not feeling it, it's not affecting you. But here's the big question that you help us ask, and we so love asking this question of you. Why aren't you aware of your negative emotion? And the answer is every single time, because I got used to it. And that's really the conversation that this is all about. I got used to it. Why did I get used to it? Because I was born into an environment where it was conducive to feeling rotten, because I was born into an environment where they already felt rotten. Why would I do that? Yeah, Abraham, why would I do that? Because you knew you had guidance, and you knew you'd figure it out, and you knew that even living what you didn't want would help you put plenty of stuff in your vortex, and you knew you had a long, eternal life experience, and you knew your guidance wouldn't let you down, and you knew that the dominant vibration was one of well-being, and you said, I want to play in a game that when I win, I'll really know that I won. If you play tennis, do any of you? Do you look for some really lousy player to play with? I want to beat you every time, and I don't want ever to get better as a result of playing with you. Those aren't the partners you look for. Those aren't the experiences you look for. You look for the experiences that inspire more, because you know that when the more is inspired, you can have it every single time.
Thank you.
Yeah. We've all been expecting him, haven't we?